wrestling silly bits too. Having a blast bringing our show to you. They rant, they rave, they won't behave. Wrestling fans, come out your cave. It's time to BS and misbehave. Talking Rasslin, time to go. Ring the bell and start the show. Talking Rasslin, time to go. Ring the bell and start the show.
Hello and welcome in for another episode of Talking Rasslin with Pondwater and Amy. I'm Pondwater Dave. Unfortunately, Amy's under the weather tonight and will not be joining us, but we're going to power through without her. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Got a great guest. I'm fixing to bring her in. For the last 7 years, she's been tearing it up all over the country. She's a former MPX World Women's Champion. She's the current TAC Wrestling Champion. Yeah, I said it, not just I didn't say TAC Women's Champion. She's the TAC Wrestling Champion. Won a huge tournament to get that. Let's bring her in now. The Dread Pirate, Reiza Clarke. Hi, Reiza. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Pretty good. You're stuck with me tonight by myself.
It's like, well,
Sorry about your luck. How you been?
I've been doing all right. Can't complain too much. I mean, a bit warm in the wintertime, but that's pretty much it.
79 degrees this afternoon.
Yeah, it was one of those where I got ready to go outside and I was like, let me double check the weather because every once in a while it decides it wants to be wintertime when I decide I don't want to wear a jacket.
Yeah. Yeah, I always keep one in the truck, but today I never had to put it on. I get up, I leave the house at 4:00 in the morning and
yes,
you need a jacket. How are your holidays?
They were good. I got to see some family I hadn't seen in a while, so that's always a good time.
If you can't beat that. I noticed that you started off your year pretty spec with a big win over Shay Carmichael.
That I did, despite our friends the Sims interference attempts. I was in fact successful first match of the year, so that's a fun way to start things off.
I don't think more than they helped her.
Yeah, I think they're still getting the swing of the whole helping thing. They're there and they're doing something. I don't know if it's helping. I don't hope that they're more successful in the future, but you know.
Yeah, the demo was there. I got a question. Because I'm curious. I've seen you with I saw you bumping nooks with Jamie Aller, and I saw you wearing a set 6 shirt. Tell me, I know demo. Who all is in set 6?
So right now our current ranks are obviously Demo Diamond, TJ Slater, Man, Levi Lucas, Jamie Aller, and myself. There are some new developments as of right this second. It looks like we are going to see if our Brilliant Gems reunion with Dylan Cavins over at DFW All Pro is actually going to work out. Personally, I don't have any problems with Cavins, so I'm gung-ho for him to be, a member, but I know he and Demo have their trials and tribulations from time to time, so we'll see how that one works out.
I didn't expect, I'm like, she's in set 6. And there's Jamie, but everybody's cheering for you.
It's what's super funny about, I feel like set 6 is, I feel like to a certain degree, MPX fans were kind of like, we don't like what y'all are doing, but at the same time, what you see is what you get with set 6. And I think that they're kind of on our side with the JD LBJ thing, because for better or worse, set 6 has been honest about the type of carrying on that goes on and the type of people we are. So to see someone feel the need to lie, I think rubs people the wrong way. Better the devil you know than the one that you don't. So if you know somebody is the way they are when they come in, and then you have to find out something later, I think that everybody kind of has experienced that. And it's a bit of a visceral reaction. So even if they're like, I don't really like you, you're honest, and I know what I get with you. So I would rather have you be the winner than the person I have to worry about being a liar.
Yeah. Well, I've been trying to binge as much MPX here lately as I could. And there's just things in my head. You know, I've known Jamie for 20 years, and Jamie Aller being cheered, just it blew my world. Just, I mean, I know you get cheered.
Company can do for you.
Oh, but I love Jamie, but you know.
Trust me, I first started wrestling when he was still with the Impact players, so I completely understand. I think like especially the early bits of set 6 for me, it was getting past that, and also like when he approached me about set 6, I was kind of in the middle of fighting all over the place with his wife, so I didn't think he was serious at first. It kind of took Demo and the others being like, no, this is for real. Like we want you, for me to be like, no, this has to be some sort of trap, because what man's like, no, I'm absolutely going to jeopardize my home life, to get you into this faction. But he did just that. And in my opinion, I think it's paid off. They've gotten over it. I've been champion. So
yeah. I noticed that, you also won, the baddest bitch brawl.
That I did,
and you had a title shot, and unfortunately that didn't go your way. I mean, it's a game of inches, but let's talk about another tournament that you just won. Let me bring this up to show normally I like to start at the beginning and work my way up, but I'll be all over the place. Here you are holding your TAC championship. It was an 8 Crazy Fights tournament.
Yes, sir.
And here's who all was in the tournament.
That was a very long night for me.
But you're the only woman in the tournament. You beat them all.
Yes,
now,
sir, that I did.
This doesn't really, I sound like I'm surprised, but I'm really not. The times I've been around you, I felt like you could take anybody in the room.
Honestly, that's kind of how I went into it too. I feel like obviously I am, biased. TAC's, welcomed me with open arms. And so I was very, flattered to be I feel like the flag bearer for the women that have come through the doors. In my opinion, it was one of those things where like I treat every, opportunity like that, or really every match is like, you could be the first and the last woman somebody sees. And so it's kind of on me to make sure that I get to carry that banner well. So that's kind of how I went into that is I don't want to be the, last woman that gets a chance to be the champion here. I don't want to be the last woman that gets, a tournament opportunity here. And so for me, it was going in being like, this has to be, the Cinderella story. This has to be, beating all the odds, because what if this is the one and done if I don't make it?
Right. Who did they didn't update these brackets. Who did you defeat for the championship?
So I wrestled William Blackwell first, and then it was Phil Noir and I, and let's just say that man jumped me before I had an opportunity to get to the ring. So it's like, I go to try to touch the ropes and suddenly there's just a person on me.
Yeah.
So after his failed attempt at beating me, I went on to wrestle Avian Gray, phenomenal competitor, great guy. People always tell you there's a difference between a clothesline and a lariat, and I can tell you now, I firmly know the difference, because that man tried to send me home to my ancestors with a one-way ticket. He was not successful. That did not mean he did not try. Sorry, my little light turned off.
Did I see? Did you post a tell of the tape on your social media about him?
So not quite, but I did post the video of him trying to take me out of my boots.
Okay. Lariats, clotheslines, whatever are the worst.
Oh yeah, because it's like the whole fun thing of, you threw a clothesline because you the clothesline kind of, you hit the clothesline. A lariat hits you. It was like being run into by a wall. He is, again, a great human being, like in great shape, but it's one of those things you can see the difference, but to feel it is an entirely different experience.
Yeah, you count me out on those. I mean, the last time I was in the ring, my night ended because of one.
You know what I mean? It was one of those where I laid there for a second and I was like, how bad do I really want this?
Well, you know, I'm referee, so I'm like, I don't want to get back up.
I do not blame you at all. There are some times where like the ref will get hit and I'm like, yeah, they're better than me because this would have been done. Pack the whole thing up.
It was, Wes Warren got me.
Oh, yeah, and that man's got a cannon on him. So
yeah, and I just know that I was upright, and then I'm like, hey, where'd the mat come from?
yeah, that will do it.
Well,
I know it was a good, like tough run, but I'm excited to get the year started over there and see, you know, what are the easy part is getting a championship. The hard part is trying to keep it.
There you go, because now you have no friends in the locker room.
Oh,
I want it. And I'm so happy for you. I even told Amy when I told her you were coming on the show that I said I'm excited to have her on because I'm always a champion of believability. That's what I'm looking for. Every time that I go to an event, if in my fandom when I watch, I want to believe. And there's an old saying like, you may not believe this is real, but you'll believe I am. And from the time I met you, I believe you're real. So you have that believability factor, and it makes me a huge fan of yours. So tell me, how did you get involved in professional wrestling? I've noticed you've been around for 7 years.
So again, like most folks, I watched a lot growing up. Was a huge fan growing up. Kind of got out of it as you get older. I remember watching back when Snapchat was really big. They had like the original like short form videos, and it was a video of Enzo Amore making his entrance music. And I remember being like, I have no idea who this small, brightly colored man is, but I would like to figure that out. And that's what got me into watching like NXT and all of that. When it came to actually wrestling, I had a coworker who was a really big fan of one of the local shows that ran in town. And we just got to talking, and she was talking about how, like, you know, she'd gone to WrestleMania and she'd love going to this show. And I didn't know that indie wrestling existed really at the time. So I looked it up on Google, and they happened to be having a, you know, wrestling school tryout. And so I was like, that'll be fun. Either it will, you know, be some cool story I can tell in the future, or I'll like it and stick with it. I genuinely believed it was going to be one of those where I was going to be like, well, that was kind of hard. That was fun. We'll move on. And then, you know, all these years later, here I am.
Where did you train?
I started at DFW All Pro, and I've been with the Palmers and MPX since like 2020.
Okay. Did you have an athletic background before then? Did you play sports in high school or?
So I did. So I tell people I came into wrestling off the couch because I had been very much kind of stationary in the years like right before that. But I, you know, ran track in high school. I had a very limited martial arts background when I was a kid. But honestly, a lot of it was just like, I'm someone who has to learn things by doing them quite a bit. So I feel like a lot of people come into wrestling and they have this athletic background that helps them immensely. And I felt like I had 2 left feet. Once I kind of got going, I think what helped me a lot was one, wrestling has kind of helped reignite my love for like lifting weights and being in the gym and that sort of thing. And I kind of realized in wrestling that as tall as I was quite a bit smaller than I am now. Honestly, probably not a full 100 pounds, but almost. So I was a very, very small, lean person. And I was like, I'm going to have to put some muscle on if I want to move and, you know, wrestle the way that I would like to. Because I always joke that I was like 160 wrestling like I was Keith Lee. And that's only so believable. And so it kind of like, yeah, it was a thing that put me in the gym to be like, I want to put on some muscle mass. I want to be strong. What I remember telling someone is I want to be strong enough that if I want to suplex somebody, they have to go whether they want to go or not.
Yeah. Let me ask you, since you mentioned you had a track background, because this is how it was for me when I started. I went to an indie show and I saw Gigolo James Johnson. He's smaller than me. So now all of a sudden my dreams of being a referee, I'm thinking, well, if James can do it, I can do it. Because I didn't know wrestlers came my size anymore. Because I didn't know that there was indie wrestling around either. And anyway, I went to wrestling school and found out that I could not do it. But let me ask you, when you got into when you had to start running ropes, did it surprise you how running such a short distance would take your wind compared to running track?
Yes and no. I think I was just surprised by the amount of running that you were kind of expected to do. I think to a certain degree, I was never like a short distance sprinter because I have long legs and they turn, and at a long stride, they don't turn over super quickly. And so I remember just kind of like that feeling of like your legs just being on fire and you feel like you're going nowhere. And so it felt a lot like that. The thing that really surprised me more than anything was having to figure out how to breathe, because I feel like I used to hit those ropes and not want to breathe out correctly. And it was like, on top of, you're learning how to do it and you're getting your cardio up, it's also like you're getting the breath knocked out of you every time you make contact with the ropes. And I genuinely am surprised that I wasn't one of those people who just like passed out in the first couple of practices, because I was pretty much, winding myself every time I would make contact with the ropes because I would not breathe out, and I would be winded.
Yeah, I was real bad about that too, because I was just so excited to be in there and trying to think and then also knowing I was going to get blown up. And I mean, you could ask Palmer and he'll tell you that the very first thing I ever did was grab a trash can and pull it to the ring.
That was one of like my biggest moments of like pride, is that I'm like, win, lose, draw, cramp up, had to roll out. I was like, I didn't throw up. Because I had a couple of times where I could feel that, like, when you get that feeling in your mouth, you're like, oh no, it's coming.
Oh yeah.
I got close. We haven't made it yet, but the career isn't over. And I know I'm going to say, I'll never throw up, and then it'll happen.
We used to play football. Every Tuesday. Matt, Athena, Richard. Now Richard didn't run. He just all-time quarterback. But I don't know if you believe that or not, Cody and but we all, and a lot of the wrestlers would come out and we play flag football every Tuesday, and I wasn't too proud. I'd throw up in front of them.
Honestly, like, it's one of those now where I'm like, I genuinely was surprised, because we used, like, when I first started at DFW, it was in this like little warehouse spot that had like no AC in it. You're in there in the dead of summer. And it used to be like we were in the corner of an MMA gym, and we're like right by the little back entrance. And so it would be that you'd run your drill and then you'd go outside and try to suck some wind, because it was like 100 degrees in there. And then we would get to the line and they were all getting yelled at because why is everybody outside? And so I was like, I honestly, I'm more surprised than anything that it didn't get me, because that heat almost did.
Yeah. In Texas, especially inside with no AC, we had I'm trying to think of the town that was a building like that they did shows in, and even after dark, it was miserable in there. But they started you right out. I mean, you've been in there from the get-go with a who's who of wrestlers. I mean, I've seen that you were in there. It seemed like that you were pretty much matched up with Alejandra from the get-go.
Yeah. So she might have started maybe like a couple of months ahead of me, and so we've been right there together since like the early days. So yeah, it's like if you go through the first maybe 2 or so years of my cage match, it's like Alejandra, Killa Kate, and Alabama, and it was just like the three of us locked in for a good long while.
Yeah, I think the first time I refereed for you, you were in against Alabama. It was a tag match.
My girl,
she killed me with that. With oh God,
was she doing the? Because she had
the drinking. I know what it's called. It's the little flask.
Oh yeah, I was like, it was like she had the stage where she was the Southern Belle and the stage where she was a flapper. And it was carrying the flask around.
Yeah, she keep the flask in there. I looked over, she's doing a move, and she reached in and take a drink.
Look, she said we were going to get it done whichever way we had to.
Oh, uh, Matt Elvis Presley in the chat wants to know, was there a certain match or moment when you felt like everything came together for you? And what was the moment you felt your greatest sense of accomplishment in wrestling? Good question, Matt. Thank you for joining us.
So I have a match where like in my head it kind of clicked like, oh, I could probably do this at like a higher level than I expected myself to. And it was myself and Miranda Alizé, like this would have been like either late 2018, early 2019. And I remember just being like, she was like fresh off of doing some work with WWE at the time. And I just remember being like, completely shell shocked that I was having this match at all. And when we got done with it, like I happened to win that match. And when I got done with it, I just remember being like, oh, I can wrestle somebody that's, you know, as good as she is. I can wrestle somebody who's done all of the things that like feel unattainable to me. And so I feel like that was like the first one where I had gotten out of the ring with somebody who was like light years better than I was, and I didn't feel like, you know, this small puppy following behind, you know, this larger animal. My biggest accomplishment. I would say like the very first time that I got a chance to do extra work, because I was still surprised at all that they knew who I was to reach out at all. Because I remember getting that email and thinking it's fake. I had to pull Athena to the side and be like, hey, so I got this email about extra work. Does this look like legit? Because I genuinely didn't think that it was. So getting there at all was very like surreal for me. And then when we get back there and they're like, okay, you're going to wrestle a match on Ring of Honor. Like, I just didn't, I felt like, I was like in the deep water at that point, because not only was I surprised to be at extra work at all, the fact that they'd seen my work enough to be like, no, we trust you with the people that we have hired. And, you know, and we trust you enough to go out in our crowd and not completely, you know, ruin it, was very kind of validating for me in a sense that I wasn't expecting. And it's just it's been an exciting ride, but I think that that's like the biggest accomplishment for me, because if you had told the version of me that started wrestling, you know, in, you know, 2017 that I was going to get to wrestle on any variation of TV wrestling, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah, it's a whole different animal. Now, I could imagine that when you got the extra that you thought, I'm going to be security or a doctor or, you know, something that they put you in. But to get the call to actually go to the ring, and didn't you wrestle Marina Shafir that night? I
wrestled Aminata.
Okay. Did you wrestle Marina Shafir at Ring of Honor?
Yes. So we had a match in the first residency that they had in Arlington, one of those shows.
Okay. Are you going to get a chance to be over there for any of the residency this time? Are you allowed to talk about it?
So I actually was there last week, and that was a good time. I'll be there. I'll be back Saturday. So fingers crossed.
I saw it didn't go well for Dylan.
Yeah, it's the beauty of extra work is like people will just disappear, and then you come back, and you're like, oh, that's why you were gone. You were gone for as long as you were. You were getting launched into the ceiling.
Yeah,
like we were watching the show. Again, we're like, you know, where'd everybody go? And I look on the screen and I'm like, I think I recognize the bottom of that shoe. Oh, I know those khaki pants. This is Kari.
Yeah, I saw when I saw Lance grab him, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. And I feel like anytime someone that's remotely strong gets a hold of Dylan, it's like suddenly gravity doesn't exist for him anymore. And we're all just like, well, hopefully he comes down safely this time.
Yeah. I knew that ceiling tile was history.
Oh yeah, I'm honestly surprised that he didn't just end up completely in the ceiling.
Well, it's got to be exciting that, you know, when Ring of Honor sets up shop in Arlington. I realize that y'all kind of got to change what y'all do over at MPX for that period of time as well. To kind of accommodate it. And I'm sure it sucks, but it kind of cuts both ways.
Yeah, I think it's like it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Because, you know, on the one hand, it's kind of an opportunity to be like, hey, we have this thing over here, without having to, you know, fight for the crowd of people. But at the same time, you know, the addicts get used to every Saturday like clockwork, so it's a little bit out of the, you know, repetition of things. But I think it's a great problem to have because, normally that kind of means like there's some sort of connection there. And obviously we want everybody to take the time to go see, our fallen goddess and, the boss when she's in town, for them to be able to do that. And I think it's like, it's a luxury that, we have enough of the same kind of commitment from fans that we want them to be able to get, their usual show in and be able to still go support, the folks that, they want to see. And I think a lot of them too like the fact that they can come support some of us and getting some work there as well. Because like you said, Delin ended up in the ceiling. London Dior and Roche Chanel got an opportunity to do some wrestling as well. So it's always, I think folks are also excited just to be able to see us be able to be on those stages as well.
It's got to be cool to get those opportunities because, if they use you for anything, they know who you are. And I mean, there once upon a time in England, Sheamus threw Triple H and Shawn Michaels out of the building as an extra. So, I mean, see how it works out. I've seen Barrett Brown go through tables with the Dudleys. I've seen him get thrown across the whole backstage. But then I looked up and I saw him. I saw him in the ring wrestling. And the same with, Frankie Fisher. I mean, not Frankie Fisher. Frankie Thomas and Bam Bam Malone. And so, and they already know who you are and they're putting you in the ring. So that's got to be a plus. And
yeah, that was exciting. And I think like just in general, I always, the more opportunity the entire, DFW area gets, the better it is for all of us. And so it's exciting when, almost anybody comes to town where you get to like, I feel like everybody watches it to be like, who am I going to see that I know? And that's what I feel like that's the fun part of like, when TNA comes to town, AEW comes to town, WWE comes to town, is just being able to be like, who of my peers and who of my friends is going to get an opportunity to, showcase what they've been working on this whole time. So that's always a good time. That's always fun. Because I think like, obviously I'm biased, so I want to see all of my, MPX folks be able to get as far as they can get. And I think, this is a great step to being able to do that. So hopefully one of these days there'll be more of us, like Maya and Hyan and them that you can just see all the time.
Yeah, it was got an opportunity, made the most of it. And I tell everybody, and that's what we talk about on the show, is that independent wrestling gets people want to think of it as the minor leagues, but it really isn't, because what y'all do every Saturday night or at MPX, or what we're going to do this Saturday at VIW, it's the same thing they're doing on television. It's professional wrestling. It's just their company's on television. It's not. Now, I do know that it's, not everybody on the card's ready for prime time. That people get started and we're getting experience. But there's also people on that's been there and now they're back. Professional wrestling's professional wrestling. And I was told the first week I trained is that if you get seen by the right people at the right time with the right look, that's your opportunity. And
absolutely,
and you got to be ready for it. And MPX is a perfect place, and not just MPX. I mean, DFW All Pro, VIP, the wrestling in Dallas altogether is. I mean, I really don't know of any bad wrestling in the DFW area, or not even the state. It's not like it used to be. You had one, maybe two good places to go wrestle, and everything else is, suspect at best. But that's been weeded out, and you can get quality wrestling every weekend somewhere in Texas.
I was talking to someone recently about how I personally feel like we have this luxury in Texas where you can put your arms out and spin around and touch a million great places to train. We have a really good depth of like knowledge and people willing to, provide it to, people starting out, that it is what is considered, I would say, like a lower standard of wrestling here is still quite high.
Yes.
Because like you said, there's really, really good wrestling everywhere. And I just credit that to the fact that like the quality of training that exists and is accessible in this state is quite high. I feel like you would have to like really, really, really look to try to track down somewhere that runs in the state of Texas as a training center and doesn't put out good work. And so I feel like that has now started to bleed over into like, if everybody's putting out good workers, every place has like a wealth of wrestlers to be able to pick from, which just ups the quality of, like when the water goes up, all the ships go up with it. So if everybody's putting out quality work, then, even the smallest show in the middle of nowhere has access to, a quality performers for their shows and for their fans.
And just talking about MPX, how great of a resource is having Athena there.
Oh, absolutely.
Because with no disrespect to you or anybody else, Athena, in my opinion, I would be hard pressed to say that she's not the best wrestler in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
And if she's not, she's top 3.
Well, I tell people all the time that we have the luxury of training with one of the best wrestlers who's wrestling currently, and in my opinion, one of the best wrestlers of all time, on a consistent basis. And that is a luxury that I personally don't take lightly. I know a lot of other folks don't take lightly because, like you said, she is a generational talent and she is in our backyard, and that we are very lucky to have that. There's very few places, I feel like, in the country that have access to, the quality of, performer that Athena is.
And she knows, she's been everywhere. She knows what they're looking for. She knows how television wrestling works. You can't put a value on that. In 2022, I was like a fish out of water getting to work I got to work a pay-per-view. And it was blowing my mind I know hard cam and work, but television was completely different. And I never had that resource to be, I never learned that. So, just be able to say, hey, from the get-go, y'all produce a very quality program that's on 50 weeks a year anyway on Twitch. But to have somebody you're already miles ahead. And to me, I don't think that, you can't put a price on that knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. I think that like a mix of like obviously having great access to great trainers, and MPX has kind of based their show on producing, as close to a TV feel as you can get, so that when you go to work there, you have opportunities, like you say, to figure out like where do I need to be when there's 3 cameras? Where do I need to be when I'm trying to deal with, not only performing for the crowd, but performing for a crowd that's not physically in the building, which is something a lot of us don't get to do for decent swatches of our career. And so I think it's like a great product to be able to be a part of at this level, but also just in general, it's such a good learning experience because, like you said, you have someone who's been there, done it all. And you have folks that are like, their entire thing is like, hey, we produce a TV show 50 weeks a year, and we have to give the same quality, the first show of the year as show 50 at the end. And we're going to be able to give you the guidance to make sure that, your product fits that quality level every single time that you're here. And I think that we have, I think for this area, we just have a luxury that some other folks may not have. It's like the only place I can think that does kind of a similar thing on a recurring basis like that is probably, Reality of Wrestling. And so it's just a luxury to have this way, to have all of that infrastructure up to be able to utilize it before, you're thrown into the lion's den and you're trying to figure it out in real time.
Yeah. My friend Allison has a question. What is your opinion on intergender wrestling, not mixed tag matches? This is it. I guess she came in after we talked about all the ass you kicked in Arkansas. Go ahead and tell her.
No, so I would be very hypocritical to be like, no, I don't like intergender wrestling. And I do, it has a spot in my heart, and I love doing it. Mine is always, I love intergender wrestling when it doesn't come at the expense of women's wrestling. Because what can happen, unfortunately, is in the wrong hands, there are shows that use it as a way to go from booking one women's match to one woman and still kind of getting the pat on the back of, you're supporting women's wrestling. So mine tends to be just, I love it and I have reverence for it, but I won't do it in the expense of furthering women's wrestling as a whole, because I think that it kills spots for other women. It doesn't kill. women rarely ever take a spot on a card from a man. The opposite happens all the time.
That's true. Let me ask you, I talked about believability. Is it fair to say that not all intergender wrestling is good intergender wrestling? I mean,
yeah,
like, I'm not going to name any names because I don't know that they've intergender. I don't want to use anybody as an example. But if you have someone that is rather small, maybe 105 pounds soaking wet with their clothes on, going against a 250-pound wrestler, is that good intergender wrestling? Or to me, like I said, I know that you're big enough that you can hold your own. It's not. I'll even give you a for instance. On that pay-per-view that I talked about, Masha Slamovich wrestled, and I can't remember the fella's name to save my life right now, but I refereed that match. Not a huge fan of intergender wrestling because I'm a 60-year-old man that was raised that men don't hit women. And I've kind of chilled on that a lot now. But what I said is not a fan of intergender wrestling. At the end of it, I realized that I just refereed a wrestling match, and every bit of everything that happened in that match was very believable to me.
So my thing of believability in intergender matches tends to go in. I don't think the disbelievability factor comes in at gender. I think it's a size thing because mine goes to if you can watch Rey Mysterio and The Big Show and not have a concern about size and believability, then your issue isn't so much like the actual size difference. Mine's also going to be it depends on the people because, I've wrestled plenty of guys that are like, you're a competitor. Let's get it. And I've had other times where we've gotten probably way deeper into the match before they realize, oh, if I lean into this, I can't hit women thing, this girl's going to kill me. And so I think that it's it depends on the people and the story that you're telling, because again, there's, like you said, a lot of guys are raised like that, where they're like, I don't care the situation at all. I am not putting my hands on this woman. And you being if that's the kind of person you are, you being, 6'5" and 250, it's not going to change that. If you're not willing to hit your opponent and they're willing to hit you, you're going to be at the disadvantage. So it's like, if you're going into this match with this, 120-pound girl and you're like, I'm not comfortable hitting her and she's rocking you around, you're going to get a point to either, I don't care enough to win this match, or I'm going to have to change gears. Mm-hmm. And either you're going to change gears or you're going to lose. Because what I tell my opponents all the time is, you may have some sensibilities about hitting me, but I don't have the same sensibilities about hitting you. So that's going to be an issue for you to deal with, not me.
Well, the one singles professional wrestling match that I've had was against a woman, and she did kick my ass and get the 3 count. and the size difference too. She was bigger than me.
And I tell folks all the time, like, it's like you said, there's a certain amount of believability. Regardless of the fact that I'm a large human being, I tend to be right there with my opponents. I still don't want to get punched in the face by a grown man. So I'm still going to go into that match very much trying to avoid getting, into a fist fight with a grown man.
And I get what you're saying. And I gripe about smaller versus larger a lot but then I turn into the old man barking at clouds. So like I said, I hope my question wasn't offensive.
No, and I think it's a thing that a lot of people level with. And again, as someone who was raised in the South, I completely get it. There's a certain amount of apprehension we get when you start going to watching violence in a way that feels not like a performance. Mine tends to be this is, unfortunately, that is going to be the case for all of wrestling, because there are a couple of setups that exist in every form. And so it's like, two guys hitting each other isn't any less likened to domestic violence than me fighting a man or vice versa, or me fighting another woman. I think that it's one of those where it's like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, everybody's chosen to be here. Everybody is trained, and nobody's in a situation where they're actually in, harm's way in that capacity.
Right.
And so I think it is, especially with and I think this comes up when this conversation comes up a lot. You have a lot of women who've chosen to wrestle because they feel empowered by it. And I think it's unfair to them to take a situation away where they may feel empowered for sensibilities for something that they are the person who's lived through, and I have not. So I think that it's kind of, again, I respect my peers, especially the women that I've loved to be in the ring with. And mine is, if you are confident in your abilities and you want to step in the ring in that way, then I trust that you know yourself well enough to know that this is a competition that you want to be a part of. Because I think all the folks that are like, and mine is too, is if someone asks you if you want to do intergender, like especially as a guy, and you're not comfortable with it, please don't feel like you have to say yes. I don't want you to feel like, you know, because it's like, when it comes to your disadvantage into coming in the match and mine. But I also think there's like, it's fair to be like, that makes me uncomfortable. And I don't think that you should put yourself in a situation where you're needlessly uncomfortable in that capacity.
Well, and then somebody Matt mentioned Andy Kaufman in the chat, and yeah, they made a mockery out of the whole thing. But
yeah,
I really like your answer about not taking away from women's wrestling, because I didn't ever consider it that way, and I can totally see a promoter wanting to do that. So that's, I mean, it's just, I appreciate your answer. And like I said, and putting up with old dinosaurs like me, that because I've changed a lot over the years about it. And like I said, I saw you won that tournament, didn't blink an eye. So I just, now I saw on TV the other night that leaving marks, I'm like, I don't get that part, but
I think like, if you're talking about Roderick Strong and Marina Shafir, I feel like they are a league all their own. I think those are two tough people that sought each other out because they're two tough people. I think if anybody knows the intensity level that Marina Shafir brings to the table, it's going to be Roderick Strong, because I think that's another case of, if he had come at her at anything other than 100%, she would have turned his head 180.
Yeah.
And she almost did.
I'm going to tell you, I think she had the match that she had at MPX was one of the best. I thought she was presented differently at MPX than she's presented on television. So I'm obviously, you know, I'm a huge fan of her work, have been since like she first started wrestling. And I think that like the Marina Shafir that you get as a kind of an island to herself, and the one that you get as the Death Riders is a bit different. And I think that like the intensity level she has when she's alone, it always kind of feels like, to me, when I see her in the Death Riders, it's like she's in like, what's the word I want? I don't want to say like, not custodial mode, but, you know, chaperone mode. So it's like, you don't see her at her full intensity because she's kind of keeping a lay of the land, trying to keep everybody where things are going. But when I feel like she shows up to like some of the indie shows, because she had a promo that she did right before the MPX show, where she was like, you know, I don't want to be the problem. I want somebody to be able to come into the ring and, you know, make me not the, you know, this tough bitch that I am, make me seem like I'm just soft as can be, but nobody can do that. And so I feel like when we see her outside of there, we're seeing the version of her that's kind of like, it's like the variation of what I like to call NBA short, where someone may seem short when their peers are 7 feet tall. But when you as someone who's 5 foot something, you realize, oh, this is a giant actually. And so I think sometimes we get used to the version of her that exists when she's navigating the Death Riders, right?
And then she gets alone and you're like, oh no, this woman is everything that she thinks that she is.
All right.
Because now it's a bar fight and still somehow manage to be, you know, the person that we expected.
Well, let's talk about the Texas Rumble coming up. Now, you being in set 6, this has to give y'all somewhat of an advantage in the Texas Rumble, wouldn't it? Until it got down to the 6 of you.
So I was gonna say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that, like, I will say, for better or worse, the game plan for set 6 a lot of the time is anybody having gold is everybody having gold. That being said, also, it's, you know, a group that came together out of a love of competition and wanting to be like, and being like, I'm the person I say I am. I'm as good as I say that I am, and y'all aren't seeing that. So I also think it kind of makes things complicated because you want to be the person that's like, oh, I brought it home for the group. And that's a lot harder to do when everybody's staring at each other. But ideally, it's one of those where you get down to the last few people, and it's you fighting, you know, you fighting your friends, and it's a statement of, you know, I'm better than my friends than it is, you know, us versus MPX kind of a deal. But I think everybody's kind of, gunning for the same thing. I also think to a degree it is the backup plan of, should JD somehow manage to get this title back, there has to be a remedy to that problem, and it has to be a remedy fast.
So if you were to win the Texas Rumble, do you get to choose any title in MPX to challenge for, or?
To my understanding, that is the case. I think obviously most people, shoot for the top of the mountain. But yeah, to my understanding, it is whichever title that you feel like, you want to go after is what you have the option to do.
So if you win the Texas Rumble, you don't have to challenge Abaddon. You could go after Dellin then.
Yep. In theory, it's like I could go after Cavens. I could go after Becker. We could go after the tag titles again.
Just any of them that you want.
Yep. And I mean, also in the very foreseeable future, there will be that Yoshi title as well. That is
March 7th. That was going to be my next one. The American Joshi tournament. I know that you're excited that you're going to get to be a part of that.
Yep, I am. I mean, I think so they did, I think, one American Yoshi title since the time that I started wrestling. So I want to say I caught like one of the last ones. And so I think I'm excited to finally, it's like, a part of Texas Yoshi, especially for women's wrestling. And so I'm thrilled to kind of be able to put my name in the history books of, this chapter of it. And I obviously would love to be the Yoshi champion. I also think I'm excited for there to be another avenue of competition for the women. I think that's kind of been the upside and the downside of having a women's title, is like everybody's focused on the one thing, where it kind of used to be, the attention was spread out a bit more. So I'm excited that there are, going to be multiple avenues of success for the women now, that is kind of dedicated to us specifically. Ideally, I'd like to be able to say, the first American Yoshi champion, Reiza Clarke.
Yes.
And that's the end goal, but mine's kind of similar to how I feel about being a two-time champion. It's a matter of when, not if. So if it's not me the first go around, my apologies to whoever gets it. They're not going to see the end of me.
But I gotta think that, I mean, being the first champion would be great, but just winning the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this is kind of, you probably can't count. I mean, you probably count on one hand how many shows like this run anywhere. I mean, it's in the United States that all women's show, an all women's tournament, or the all women's shows that y'all have been doing.
I think I think that's why, Who Runs the World is so special, is that we, at least in like this area for Texas, like there wasn't a place to go for women's wrestling specifically. Like for a while, Central Texas had Mission Pro. Booker does his thing from time to time down there, but it's like for North Texas, there was like nothing. And so I think it's just exciting that there is, like you said, a show to even run an all women's tournament, but also that there is a show that is just intended to be all women that runs regularly with that in mind. Because I think that sometimes while the intention is there, what'll happen is it becomes easier to make it, a mixed show, because guys are easier to handle booking. It's easier to kind of fill those spots last minute if something happens. And so I have, the most reverence for, Athena and the entire team at MPX that works on getting these shows up and running and like possible, just because I know how hard even something as simple as getting, talent for these shows can be, let alone, funding and all the other things that go along with that.
Well, I left Texas in 2010, and talking about counting on one hand, I probably count on one hand women that wrestle. I mean, if there were going to be a women's match on the card, it was probably either going to be Athena, Angel Blue, Jackie, Lala,
Jessica James, probably.
Jessica James. Thank you. I mean, it was a handful. I mean, and that was it. And now that you can put together a show several times a year, and I'm going to get heat for saying this, women's wrestling is better than men's wrestling.
One of my favorite sound bites that I say all the time that I got Shay Carmichael, most unintentionally funny person I've ever met in my life. I want to say maybe it was like a year or two ago. We were talking about like favorite matches, and she was like, "I don't know, I don't watch boys wrestling." And so people will ask me something, I'm like, "I don't know, I don't watch boys wrestling." But
I don't mark out at a show very often, like out of my chair, like it got me. It just I don't get that way anymore. I mean, sometimes I have to really pay attention in the ring because I'll get into with the action. But what I'm saying is that like the last time that I came out of my chair, it was women's match, Charlotte and Asuka, WrestleMania.
like solid choice.
I knew Asuka was going to win. I knew she's going to win. She's undefeated. But the crowd's I mean, everybody's kind of at each other. And then when she tapped, I'm out of my chair, and I hadn't done that in years. And the women's matches, man, I hate to say it because it's going to come out differently than what I mean. I just feel like the women wrestle, they try harder. I feel like it makes sense. The matches make sense. Back to the believability. I believe that when the bell rings, that there's two women in there, and the goal is to win the match.
I think a lot of women now, it's like obviously not that folks were taking it seriously before, but like you said, I'm like, I think there are a lot more folks who are taking training, the women that come through the doors way more seriously. And I think that there's a lot of women that like kind of like me. Every time they step foot in the ring, they're like, it could be the first and last women's match someone ever sees, and someone can just make their entire determination about the entire kind of genre of wrestling based off of this one match that they see. And I know just, a lot of folks go in, no matter if, like you say, if it's 2 people or 2,000 people, and they're like, I want to make sure that when this person comes out of this show and my match, that it, one, makes them want to watch more women's wrestling, but bare minimum that they don't come out of it feeling like there's some weird negative like cast over every woman who wrestles post that. And so I think you see a lot of folks, like you said, that they're coming in and they're working really, really hard because they're not only, shouldering people's perception of them and their match, but also like all the girls that are in the back, all the girls that are still trying to get on, all the girls that are in training. And so you treat it kind of like the rope that you have to hang yourself as a woman is quite a bit shorter. And what is a bad match versus you being a bad wrestler is also, the margin of error is quite a bit smaller. I think a lot of us feel that and wrestle accordingly.
Well, you're tearing it up. I mean, like I said, I'm a huge fan of yours. I always enjoy it when you're on, when you make it down here for BIW, and I'm fortunate enough to get to referee your matches. I'm a huge fan of yours. I'm loving watching you on MPX, and I went down a rabbit hole on YouTube. Heck, that's when I didn't realize you'd been around as long as you'd been around, because there was a video and the girls, it was 2018, and I'm like, what?
Yep.
But you're tearing it up, and I also noticed that you're being billed as the Dread Pirate, and you've got a really cool shirt. And I wish I would have thought to take a picture of it and put it on the screen. But trust me when I tell you want this piece of merchandise, and tell everybody where they can find it.
So right now I am kind of revamping and regathering all my merch stuff right now. So if you follow me on TikTok or pretty much all of the social media apps, so if you follow me on Instagram, Facebook, any of that, I will be posting. My game plan is to try to get stuff up for beginning of February. So there'll be t-shirts and posts and all the like. But you can find me on Facebook, Reiza Clarke. You can find me on pretty much every other social media app as Despicable REI _. So I'm not too hard to track down. And as soon as I have stuff available for you to buy, I promise I will give you the avenues to give me your money.
Well, everybody has to go out of their way. I mean, this is MPX month on our show, and I'm so thankful that Palmer does this, and he thinks enough of us to get all y'all to come on. And I enjoy visiting with you, and I've only worked at MPX at the old building, and I feel bad every time I say that out loud, but MPX reminds me, it's like PCW because Richard Hill's there, Cody Cox, Athena, Palmer. That's when I get homesick, MPX makes me homesick.
Oh.
Because like I said, that was, I got my start in Dallas. And so whenever I see y'all, I'm glad that y'all get to come on. Go on to Twitch, subscribe. It's not a great deal of money. You get a show every week. Great action. It's very enjoyable. The commentators are good. The referees are good, even Trueborn.
Like when he decides that he wants to be on the right side of things.
Yeah. I hear y'all's referees are all over the place.
Yeah, they're unfortunately running a bit roughshod right now, but fingers crossed they're gonna get their minds right about him soon.
Y'all need to get it. Y'all need to get that locked down, or I'm gonna have to make a trip down there to help out.
Look, I still blame Brick. Brick's the reason why they're mad at all the rest of us. I don't
want a part of Brick.
Look, because I told them, I'm like, oh, now we care about workplace safety. One of y'all gets hit by a brick and we care about workplace safety. Baby D was beating me up for weeks and y'all never came to try to help me.
Well, you can ask Josh Newell that Angel Camacho's beat me up several times and I never complain about workforce safety. I mean, and that says more about me than him that he's had to do it more than once.
As someone who's taken a fair share of Angel Camacho Vader bombs, I understand.
Yeah, I've avoided that, but the punch and chops.
So it doesn't feel. Doesn't feel good.
It's elderly abuse is what it is.
One of the first shows I had like a decent amount of family come to when I first started wrestling, and the night ended with Angel splashing me. And my godfather pulled me aside and was like, "I don't know if this is for you." So Angel Camacho got me bad enough that my family thought I might need to consider retirement.
Yeah, it's definitely a life choice that needs to be made when you're around him.
Every once in a while, I'll be like, my mom wanted me to be a lawyer, and here I am.
Well, is she supportive of you being a wrestler?
Very much so.
That's all you can ask for.
I am very, very blessed in the sense that like my family is super supportive. They actually my mom and both my parents and my best friend's family came to that first MPX show of the year. So I'm very lucky to have a supportive family. My mom is almost every MPX show that I'm on that she can be at. She's there in the crowd cheering me on. I always joke that I am not her favorite wrestler, however. It is Kari Wright, a decent amount of space, Nyla Rose, an entire empty sheet of paper, and then me.
An entire empty sheet of paper. That's just wrong. Oh,
my mother's a huge fan of Mr. Kari Ja Wright.
Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm sorry Amy wasn't here because she's the one that asks the really good questions.
It's like I'll just have to come back around when she's feeling better.
Hey, maybe we come back after you win this Joshi tournament or the Texas Rumble.
It's like I like the way you think.
Hey, when's your next event? Where are you going to be wrestling next?
So I am. That is a phenomenal question, actually.
Yeah, I didn't see a poster.
I will be in Denver on the 20th of February. I'll be in Arizona the 21st, and then I'll be back in the Valley on the 22nd. But
you're nationwide. I mean, East Coast, West Coast, mountains.
I'm just very lucky that like I feel like it's a mix of obviously I like to tell people all the time what you like, who you know lets you do what you know. If you are ready and you are kind of I don't say easy to work with, but it's like if you do get business and you are ready, a lot of really cool things will come down the pipe just by virtue of the people that you come across in wrestling. And so I've been very fortunate to have like some really solid people be willing to vouch for me, and that's allowed me to kind of be all over the place. And so I'm always, very appreciative of any of the companies that are willing to bring me in, especially for the folks that are, states away that may have never seen me work in person.
And back to what you said about somebody being funny. Josh Knoll told me you were the funniest person in professional wrestling.
I certainly try. I always joke that I'm like, it's like the whole don't be out there entertaining people, and I'm just back there doing like a full stand-up set.
Well, Coach Keith said it was a great interview. Please come back. I would love to have you back, especially with Amy here.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to hold you to that later this year.
Absolutely. You let me know and I'll be here.
I'll do it. Reiza Clarke, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight. I can't thank you enough for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hope to see you sooner than later.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Good night. Well, how fun was that, y'all? Amy did trivia this week, but we're not going to do it. I would like to take opportunity to tell y'all about Big Time Belts, facebook.com. For all your championship belt needs, do you need a belt for your promotion? Are you using a toy belt with stickers on it? Cut it out. It's not necessary. For under $300, you can get a quality wrestling belt. For as little, so there's no sense in trying to use a shot belt. The Gingerbread House Championship came from Big Time Belts. The UWX Atlantic State. I love this belt. It's just a custom belt that my friend Russ does that had made because he's a huge belt mark. But I love that. I'm going to steal that design for something. The Pinhead Hellraiser Championship. How about that? A big gold. Are you a belt collector if you don't even have a big gold in your collection? I think not. Big Time Belts can hook you up. Billy Gullett, the BIW inspired Louisiana Championship. He's so proud of him. He's buying belts left and right. I've got him hooked on belts, Big Time Belts. Look at the craftsmanship on this Fight Club belt. Look at that lion's head. He can do these kind of graphics, this kind of artwork for you. The Battle Zone Light Heavyweight Championship. Those tanks are separate pieces sitting on top of the plates. The craftsmanship on that belt is second to none. There's no point in you not presenting your champion with a belt from Big Time Belts. And if you just want one, men, get you a wrestling belt, put it on, put your house coat on, walk up to your wife, open your house coat and tell her the champ is here. You get one, you'll want another one. And if you're worried that she's going to get mad, take my word for it. I've got 78 of them. They get over it. They really do. And we want to thank Big Time Belts for sponsoring our little presentation. While I'm plugging stuff, let me tell you about Drunken Pop. Dollar Dave, TJ, and Timmy C here on the Markout Moments Network will take a snapshot of a month out of a year. They'll hit all the pop culture, sports, news, everything, and they present it in a fun way. Check those boys out here on the network. The TNA Top 10. Allison, tell me quickly what we're doing this week. If you're still in the chat, they just got through doing movie soundtracks this past week, and I can't disagree. I mean, I probably picked 20 of them when I voted, and the only one I probably had a problem with in the top 10 was Titanic, and it's only because I know that one song from the movie. So, I mean, you got to have more than one song on there that's recognizable. But Celine Dion did a great job on it. But the TNA Top 10, they'll come in, they'll talk about, hey, Andrew's here. Thank you, Andrew. Television show themes is what we're doing this week. I got to think that The Greatest American Hero could be the greatest Thank you, Matt. She was a great interview. Andrew says if I pick Dallas over the Fresh Prince, we're going to fight. I will not pick Dallas over the Fresh Prince. But the Dallas theme is top 10. I actually bought a Floyd Kramer album once just because he played the Dallas theme on it. Yeah, you'll have to throw throw Floyd Kramer in your Google machine so you'll know who I'm talking about. But I got to think the theme song to The Greatest American Hero has to be one of the top ones. And there's another one that there's a song called Making It. And the guy that sings its name is David Naughton. He was the guy that was the original Dr. Pepper commercial. You know, I'm a pepper, he's a pepper, she's a pepper, all that. And then they gave him a sitcom that was really short-lived on ABC called Making It. And that the theme song is great. And you can hear it on the 70s on Sirius occasionally, but I don't even think that you can download it on Apple. So but there I go, talking about all these songs that ought to be in the top 10 television show themes. So check them out. They're live on Sunday nights here on the network, here at Markout Moments. The DAV network is back, Double Drop Kick podcast. I believe that they're going live Saturday night. Kevin Davenport does an extremely great job with that. The production value second to none. Spanning the Globe. They're going to have an interesting topic tomorrow night about the decline. Do you feel like the quality of professional wrestling has declined? You can catch them on tomorrow night, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you. The same thing that we do. Willie Thornbrew's got a point, Andrew. The Dukes of Hazzard has to be on the list. Yeah, if you're not voting for Waylon Jennings, what are you doing with your life? The question mark with Efren. Podcast Heat, ad-free shows. Efren's done a great job with that series. Brian Cage, Kelly Slaughter, Josh Chernoff, David Zahadi. He's so many great guests. Fun questions. The Texas Rumble coming to the Southwest Community Center, Fort Worth, Texas, February 7th. You want to, if you're in the DFW area, you want to get over there and check this Texas Rumble out. It's going to be a heck of a production, or you can watch it on MPX Wrestling on Twitch TV /Metroplex Wrestling. It's a excellent channel on Twitch. I've gone down that rabbit hole. I love it. I'm watching old stuff. I'm watching the current stuff. Follow MPX Wrestling. You got them at YouTube. Here's all of their socials: YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook. I want to thank them for especially letting us help promote the Texas Rumble for them, getting to talk to their great wrestlers. And then this weekend, BIW's first show of the year, Bayou Independent Wrestling presents Not Dead After All. We're going to be at the Lincoln Civic Center in Brookhaven, Mississippi. Doors open at 7. Bell rings at 7:30. $15 advance tickets are on sale at 601 Sports. $20 at the door. We have Alejandra. I've always called her Alejandra Lyon, but I can't pronounce her last name. I've never called her by her last name. I just realized that didn't say Alejandra Lyon on it. She's awesome. And so is London Dior. They're going to tear it up in Brookhaven. If I'm not mistaken, London just got signed by AEW. RJW and Exodus Prime with Coach John Saxon. I predict violence and a lot of it. Exodus Prime has his eye on the championship. He's focused in, and he wants a title shot against Alex Arsenal. He wants a title shot against Bam Bam. No, Bam Bam Malone's who he's got his eye on. If you got gold, he wants it. And RJW is just, he's a mountain of a man. This is going to be this could be match of the night. That's not hyperbole when I tell you that. Steve Anthony, two-time former NWA World Light Heavyweight Champion, everything in BIW against Casey Blackrose. Casey Blackrose is an incredible talent. And Steve Anthony is the measuring stick, probably one of the greatest wrestlers in the country, and not the world. That's going to be what the kids call a banger. Eddie Martinez, he's one half of horsepower against Hunter Law. Man, another could be a main event match. Eddie Martinez has really been, him and Nate with horsepower have been all over the place, but with his singles, and Hunter Law, this guy, he spent some time with Jay Lethal, and I mean, when I tell you he went from here to here, I mean, he's off the chart talented, and this is going to be another great match. Caleb Conley and King Rob Love. They are going to be taking on the BIW Southern Champion, Alex Arsenal, and his tag team partner, Ray Fury. I'm looking at this thinking that I'm hoping that DJ don't show up so I can referee all the matches. I want to referee them all. I don't know which ones I want to share with DJ. Josh, call DJ and tell him to take a night off. I got it. Man, this is gonna. I mean, you got Caleb Conley super pissed off at Alex Arsenal for taking his championship from him. Y'all know how Rob Love is. If Rob Love won Most Hated, then it would mean a lot to him. And then Ray Fury, I guess we're not yeeting anymore for Ray. But this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good match. There's lots of bad blood getting in the ring because Alex used to be in Southern Royalty. Rob probably feels a certain way about that. Caleb is pissed off at Arsenal for taking his belt. And I think they just like to beat up Ray Fury anyway. So try to beat up Ray Fury. That's all you can do is try, because Ray Fury's probably one of the best unsigned wrestlers in the country. And there you have it. Bayou Independent Wrestling not dead after all. In Brookhaven, Mississippi. I'm excited for this one. My granddaughter, Aubrey, my 4-year-old granddaughter, is going to go to her first wrestling match Saturday night. So I'm excited that she's going to get to see wrestling in person. And that ladies match, maybe that when she sees the girls wrestle, that she already knows that she can wrestle. She's the master of the Iron Claw. She puts it on me every chance that she gets. All right. I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. I want to thank my guest, Reiza Clarke, for her time. I want to thank all of y'all for joining me. I didn't really shout out much in the chat. I apologize for that. Sam, I appreciate you. Allison, I appreciate you. Derek, I appreciate you. Darren Staley, there you are. Austin Kendrick was here. Matt Presley, Willie, Coach Keith, Andrew, Allison. Let me see. All the best TV theme songs are from the 70s and early 80s, and Cheers and Taxi theme songs are in the top 10. Yes, Andrew, I'm showing my age. Hey, I'm going to tell you what. The theme to Welcome Back, Kotter, I think it went number one when Casey Kasem was doing the top. The theme to Laverne and Shirley, the theme to Happy Days. What else? Bosom Buddies, but that wasn't the Billy Joel version of My Life. The theme to The Big Bang Theory. WKRP. There you go, Coach. Another fun episode of TNA Top 10 this Sunday night. I can't wait. My wife wanted to watch Landman the other night. I said, nope, we got to watch TNA Top 10. That's a true story. Well, thank y'all for joining me. I'm rambling, so I'm going to hit the end button and get out of here. Let me check the list and tell you who we got next week, though, as MPX month continues. Next week, Tatum Manning returns to the show. Tatum was a great guest last time we had him. Can't wait to talk to him, catch up with him, see what's going on with Tatum Manning. Amy, get to feeling better. I want to wish a special happy birthday to referee James Beard, the greatest referee in the world. And I also want to thank our former compadre, Justin Davis. Happy birthday, Justin. We love you. And we'll see you next time on Talking Rasslin with Pondwater and Amy, a Mark Out Moments production.
Talking Rasslin, time to go. Thanks for watching our epic show. See you next week, same time, same place. Mark Out Moments is your happy